The morning sky over Kang Dae's farm looked wrong. Instead of the usual blue, strange, dark shapes moved between the clouds. Dae stopped working on his rice field and looked up. His weathered hands gripped the farming tool tighter as he watched. The massive alien ships descend from space. Around the world, people stopped what they were doing. In Seoul, Park Yoon was testing her company's new rocket engine when all the televisions and radios went silent. In his small apartment, 16-year-old Kim Won was playing online games when his computer screen turned black. Every satellite, every communication tower, every internet connection died at the same moment. The alien ships were huge, bigger than any building humans had ever made. They moved slowly through the sky, casting shadows over entire cities. Their metal hulls gleamed, with a dark purple light, and strange symbols glowed along their sides. There were hundreds of them, spreading across every continent. Lee. So was working at the military hospital when the emergency alarms started ringing. Soldiers ran past her carrying weapons, but everyone knew the weapons would not help. The alien. Ships had shown their power by turning off all of Earth's technology with just a thought. In his small house near the mountains, old Yoon Ho sat in his chair and watched the news on his battery-powered radio. The reporter's voice shook with fear as he described the ships landing in empty fields around the world. Yoon Ho had been a soldier for 40 years. He knew what an invasion looked like. The largest alien ship landed in a field near Dae's farm. The ground shook as its metal legs touched the earth. Steam rose from the grass where the ship's heat touched it. Dae gathered his neighbors and they hid in the old temple on the hill. From there, they could see everything. A door opened in the side of the alien ship. Strange beings walked out, and they did not look like humans at all. They were tall and thin with gray skin and 4 arms. They wore metal suits that covered their entire bodies. Their faces were hidden behind masks, but their eyes glowed red through the glass. The aliens set up machines around their ship. The machines made a low humming sound that hurt to hear. Then they started talking, but not to each other. They were talking to all the humans on Earth at the same time. The alien voice came from every radio, every telephone, every computer that still worked. It spoke in perfect English and Chinese and Korean and every other language humans used. The voice was cold and mechanical. "People of Earth," the voice said, "we are the Kethvar Empire. We have traveled across the galaxy to bring you into our great civilization. You will come with us to work on our worlds. You will help us build a better universe. This is not a choice. This is what will happen," the voice continued. "We have done this 17 times before. 17 other worlds now serve the Empire. They are happy and safe. They work hard and live in peace. You will do the same. We will take good care of you." Dae looked at his neighbors' faces. They were scared, but he could see something else in their eyes. They were angry. These aliens thought humans would just give up and follow them like sheep. "Tomorrow we will begin collecting you," the voice said. "Gather in your cities. Bring only small bags. We will provide everything else you need. Do not try to fight. We have weapons that can destroy your entire planet. But we do not want to hurt you. We want you to work for us." The voice stopped. Around the world, people looked at each other and made the same decision. They would not go quietly. In Seoul, Park Yoon gathered all the engineers from her company. They had rockets and satellites, and they knew how to build things that flew. If the aliens could turn off their machines, maybe they could build new ones that would work. Kim Won turned on his old computer, one that was not connected to the internet. He started writing programs, trying to understand how the aliens had broken all their technology. He was young, but he was the best hacker in his school. Maybe he could find a way to hack the aliens too. Lee. So looked at the medical supplies in the hospital. If there was going to be a fight, people would get hurt. She started moving medicines and equipment to the basement where the aliens might not find them. Yunho walked to the nearby army base. The young soldiers there knew him from his years of service. They listened when he told them that running away would not help. The aliens had faster ships. Earth was their home, and they had to fight for it here. Day climbed down from the temple and walked toward his house. His neighbors followed him. They were farmers, not soldiers, but they knew how to work hard and how to solve problems. The aliens thought humans were weak because their technology was simple. They were about to learn how wrong they were. That night, while the alien ships hummed in the darkness, humans around the world made plans. They gathered weapons and food. They dug hiding places and set up secret ways to talk to each other. They looked at their children and their homes and promised that no alien would take them away. The Kethvar had conquered 17 worlds by showing their power and demanding surrender. They had never met a species that looked at their giant ships and superior weapons and decided to fight anyway. They thought humans would be like all the others, scared and obedient. As the sun set on that first day, Admiral Veltar stood on the bridge of his command ship and looked down at the blue planet below. His orders were simple: collect the humans and take them back to work in the Empire's mines and factories. It should take a few weeks at most. Then his fleet could return home as heroes. He had no idea that down on the surface, millions of humans were sharpening their tools and cleaning their weapons. He did not know that they were teaching their children to hide and fight. He could not imagine that a species with such simple technology would dare to resist the mighty Kethvar Empire. The aliens had come for slaves, but humans had never been slaves to anyone, and they were not going to start now. Tomorrow, when the harvest began, the Kethvar would learn that some species cannot be broken. Some species only get stronger when you try to chain them. The war for Earth was about to begin. The aliens came at dawn, just as they had promised. Their flying machines moved through the sky like metal birds, heading toward every human city and town. Inside each machine, Kethvar soldiers sat ready to collect their new slaves. In his village, Day watched the alien craft land in the rice fields. The Kethvar soldiers walked out wearing their metal suits and carrying weapons that glowed with strange energy. They moved slowly, confidently, like they had done this many times before. The lead alien spoke through a voice machine. "Humans of this area, come forward. Bring your small bags. You will board our transport ships. You will be taken to a better place." Day looked around. His neighbors were hiding behind their houses and in the fields. No one came forward. The aliens waited for a few minutes, then started walking toward the houses to collect the humans by force. That was when Day gave the signal. The church bell rang 3 times and the attack began. Farmers came out of hiding with hunting rifles and old military weapons. They had spent all night digging holes and setting traps. The aliens' energy weapons were powerful, but they moved too slowly to hit targets that knew the land. The first alien to fall was shot by Mrs. Choi, an old woman who had learned to hunt as a child. Her bullet hit the breathing tube on the alien's suit, and the creature collapsed, gasping Earth's air that it could not breathe. The battle was short, but fierce. The aliens had better weapons, but they did not expect humans to fight so hard for such a small village. When their leader called for help, the rescue ships found the landing zone full of holes and hidden fighters. In Seoul, the battle was much bigger. Park Yoon had worked all night with her engineers to turn their rocket factory into a fortress. When the alien ships tried to land at the airport, they found the runways blocked with burning cars and the buildings full of people with weapons. The aliens sent down their war machines, metal monsters that walked on 4 legs and fired energy beams. But Kim Won had spent the night learning how their technology worked. He used his computer skills to hack into their systems and turn their own machines against them. "Their computers are good but simple," Kim Won told Park Yoon over their hidden radio network. They never had to defend against hackers before. They don't even have passwords on most things. Kim Wan sent false orders to the alien war machines, making them attack each other instead of the humans. He changed their maps so they got lost in the city streets. Most importantly, he broke their communication system so they could not call for help. The fighting in Seoul lasted for 3 days. The aliens had expected to collect millions of humans in a few hours. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a city where every building was a fort and every human was a soldier. Lee. So worked in a hidden medical station under the subway. She treated wounded fighters and studied the aliens they had captured. She learned that the creatures could not breathe Earth's air and needed their suits to survive. She also found that they were afraid of getting sick from human germs. "They're cleaner than we are," she told her medical team. "Their bodies have no defense against our bacteria. If we can damage their suits, their own fear will do the rest." Young soldiers brought Lee So broken alien weapons and equipment. She took them apart and learned how they worked. The aliens used energy and strange metals, but the basic ideas were the same as human technology, just more advanced. At the army base, Yoon Ho coordinated the defense of the whole region. He had fought in wars before, but never against aliens. Still, war was war, and enemies were enemies. They fight like police, not soldiers, he told his officers. They're used to people who surrender when they see superior firepower. They don't know how to handle real resistance. Yoon Ho ordered small groups of fighters to attack alien supply lines and communication posts. The aliens had to spread their forces thin to protect everything, which made them weak everywhere. The old general's best idea was to let the aliens win small victories while planning bigger defeats. He ordered some towns to surrender, making the aliens think their plan was working. But the surrendering humans carried hidden weapons and radios. Once inside the alien ships, they attacked from within. After 1 week of fighting, Admiral Veltar could not believe what was happening. His powerful fleet was supposed to collect humans like farmers collecting grain. Instead, he was fighting a war against the entire planet. "How many ships have we lost?" he asked his assistant. 47 transport vessels, 12 war machines, and 1 command cruiser, came the reply. The humans destroyed the cruiser with their own flying machines and stolen alien weapons. Veltar had conquered 17 worlds without losing a single ship. Now these primitive humans had destroyed more Kethvar vessels in 1 week than he had lost in 30 years of service. "What do the humans want?" he asked. "Do they want to negotiate? Do they want better work conditions?" "Sir, we have intercepted their communications. They do not want to negotiate. They want us to leave their world and never come back." Veltar could not understand this. Every other species had eventually accepted Kethvar rule. Some fought at first, but they always gave up when they saw the Empire's power. These humans seemed to get stronger every time they lost a battle. The worst part was that other slave worlds were hearing about the human resistance. For the first time in centuries, the Empire's slaves were asking questions. Why couldn't they fight like the humans? Why did they have to work for the Kethvar? On Earth, the humans were learning fast. They took alien weapons from defeated enemies and figured out how to use them. They studied captured alien equipment and built better versions with human materials. Day's village had become a training center where farmers taught other farmers how to fight aliens. They shared everything they learned about alien weaknesses and tactics. Park Yoon's engineers were building new rockets using both human and alien technology. They planned to take the fight beyond Earth's surface, attacking the alien ships in space. Kim One had created a network of hackers around the world. They shared information about alien computer systems and worked together to disrupt alien operations everywhere. Lee So had developed new medicines that could hurt aliens while helping humans. She also trained medics to treat both human and alien injuries, knowing that showing mercy to enemies would confuse and weaken them. Yoon Ho coordinated all these efforts, turning Earth into one giant resistance movement. Every human was now a soldier in the war for their planet's freedom. The aliens had come expecting to find slaves. Instead, they had awakened something they did not understand: the human refusal to be conquered. The war was just beginning, and already the HFY were losing. 2 months had passed since the aliens first landed, and everything had changed. The HFY Empire, which had never failed to conquer a world, was losing badly to the humans of Earth. They stood on a hill overlooking what used to be a peaceful valley. Now it was full of wrecked alien ships and abandoned human towns. But the humans were winning. They had learned to fight in ways the aliens never expected. "They're too used to easy victories," Day told his fighters as they prepared for another raid. Every other world they conquered gave up quickly. They don't know how to fight an enemy that learns from every battle. Day's group had grown from a few farmers to over 1,000 fighters. They used the mountains and forests like a maze, appearing to attack alien positions and then disappearing before the enemy could respond. The aliens' heavy weapons were useless against enemies who refused to stand still and fight. The humans had learned to modify alien technology in ways that surprised even themselves. They took alien energy weapons and connected them to human power sources. They used alien metals to make better armor and vehicles. Most importantly, they shared every discovery with fighters around the world. In her underground laboratory, Lee So had made the most important discovery of all. She had been studying, captured aliens for weeks, trying to understand their biology. What she found changed everything. "They're not actually stronger than us," she explained to a group of doctors and scientists. "Their technology makes them seem powerful, but their bodies are weak. They've lived in clean, controlled environments for so long that they can't handle dirt, germs, or physical stress." Lee So had developed biological weapons specifically designed to attack alien physiology. The weapons were not deadly. Lee So was a doctor and refused to create weapons that killed. Instead, they made the aliens sick in ways their medicine could not cure. "When they breathe our modified bacteria, their suits stop working properly," she said. "Their technology depends on their bodies being clean and healthy. Make them sick, and their weapons become useless." She had also discovered that the aliens were terrified of human diseases. They had heard stories about plagues and infections from their studies of Earth, and they believed humans were naturally dirty and dangerous. Lee So used this fear against them. Kim Wan had become the most wanted human on the planet, at least according to the aliens. His computer attacks had crippled their ability to coordinate their forces. But more than that, he had begun reaching beyond Earth. "I can access their main communication network," he told his team of young hackers. "Every alien ship, every base, every world they control, they're all connected, and their security is terrible." Kim Wan had discovered that the HFY Empire was much weaker than it appeared. They controlled 17 worlds, but they did it through fear and technology, not through military strength. Most of their slaves outnumbered their guards by thousands to one. "The aliens on the other worlds don't know about us yet," Kim Wan explained. "The Empire has been hiding our resistance from their slaves. They're afraid that if other species learn that humans are fighting back, they might get ideas." Kim Wan began sending messages to the other slave worlds. He uploaded videos of human victories, pictures of destroyed alien ships, and most importantly, proof that the mighty HFY could be defeated. Park Yoon had turned her small rocket company into Earth's space program. Using captured alien technology, her engineers were building spacecraft that could reach the alien fleet in orbit. But they were not just building weapons. They were building hope. "We're not just defending Earth anymore," she told the international coalition that now supported her work. "We're going to take the fight to them. Every alien ship we capture makes us stronger and them weaker." Her team had reverse-engineered alien flight technology and combined it with human engineering. The result was spacecraft that the aliens did not recognize as dangerous until too late. Human ships looked crude compared to alien vessels, but they worked just as well and were much harder to stop. Yun-Ho had become the coordinator of global human resistance. From his hidden command center, he managed military operations on every continent. But his greatest achievement was not military. It was psychological. "We're not just fighting for Earth," he explained in his daily broadcasts to resistance cells. "We're fighting to show every enslaved species in the galaxy that freedom is possible. Every victory sends a message across the stars." Yun-Ho had studied the aliens' previous conquests and found the pattern. The Kethvar always used the same strategy: overwhelming technological demonstration, followed by demands for surrender, followed by quick collection of the population. It had worked 17 times because no species had ever been prepared for it. "But we had time to prepare," Yun-Ho said. "They gave us warning by turning off our technology. They told us what they wanted, and they underestimated our ability to adapt. The old general had turned every human settlement into part of a giant military machine. Farmers grew food for fighters. Factory workers built weapons and equipment. Children carried messages and spied on alien movements. Everyone had a role in the resistance. Admiral Veltar sat in his command ship, staring at reports that made no sense. His mighty fleet was being destroyed by creatures with primitive technology and no space travel capability. Worse, news of the human resistance was spreading to the Empire's slave worlds. "Sir, we have a problem," his communications officer reported. "The slaves on Kepler 442b are asking questions about the humans. They want to know why we haven't conquered Earth yet." "What did you tell them?" Veltar asked. "We told them the humans were more difficult than expected, but that we would succeed soon. But, sir, they're asking why they can't fight like the humans do." This was Veltar's worst nightmare. The Empire's power came from making slaves believe they were powerless. If the slaves started believing they could fight back, the Empire would collapse. "How many ships do we need to finish this?" he asked his military advisor. "Sir, we estimate we would need the entire Imperial fleet to guarantee victory over the humans. But that would leave our other worlds undefended. And there's no guarantee the humans wouldn't find a way to defeat even that force." Veltar could not believe what he was hearing. The humans had no space navy, no energy weapons, no advanced technology. How could they threaten the entire Kethvar Empire? The answer was simple, though Veltar did not understand it yet. The humans had something the Empire had never encountered before: the absolute refusal to accept defeat. Every time the aliens thought they had won, the humans found a new way to fight. Every time their technology failed, they built something better. On Earth, the Resistance was preparing for its biggest operation yet. Day would lead a ground assault on the aliens' main base. Park Yun would launch the first human spacecraft to attack the alien fleet. Kim Wan would attempt to hack the entire Kethvar communication network. Lee So would deploy her biological weapons on a global scale. But most importantly, Yun-Ho would broadcast the entire operation to every slave world in the galaxy. For the first time, the Empire's subjects would see their masters not as invincible conquerors, but as fallible enemies who could be defeated. The humans had learned everything they needed to know about their enemies. Now it was time to teach the galaxy what humans were truly capable of. The war was about to enter its final phase, and the Kethvar Empire was about to learn why some species should never be underestimated. 6 months after the aliens first arrived, Earth had become something no one had expected. Not a conquered world, but a fortress that was winning a war against a galactic empire. Day crouched in the tall grass near the aliens' biggest base on Earth. Around him, over 2,000 human fighters waited for his signal. They carried a mixture of human and alien weapons, wore armor made from salvaged materials, and moved with the confidence of soldiers who had never lost a major battle. Chapter. Alien base was enormous, bigger than any human city. It housed the command center for the entire invasion, along with thousands of Kethvar soldiers and their war machines. Taking it seemed impossible, but the humans had learned that impossible was just another word for difficult. "Remember," Dei whispered into his radio, "we're not just fighting for Earth anymore. Kim Wan is broadcasting this battle to 17 slave worlds. Every alien we defeat, every ship we destroy, shows the galaxy that the Empire can be beaten." Miles above them in orbit, Park Yoon floated in the command chair of humanity's first real spacecraft. The ship looked crude compared to the sleek alien vessels, but it had something they lacked. It had been built by people who refused to give up. "All human ships report ready," came the voice over her radio. Park Yoon smiled. 6 months ago, humans had no space technology at all. Now they had a fleet of 40 ships, all built from captured alien technology and human determination. "Begin." "The attack," she ordered. "Show them that Earth has teeth." The human ships moved toward the alien fleet like a pack of wolves attacking a herd of cattle. The aliens had bigger ships and more powerful weapons, but they had never fought an enemy that coordinated so well. Every human pilot knew exactly what the others were doing, and they moved together like parts of a single machine. In his hidden bunker beneath Seoul, Kim Wan's fingers flew across his keyboard. He had spent months learning the aliens' computer systems, and now he was about to use that knowledge to change the course of the war. "I'm in," he announced to his team. "I have access to the main Kethvar communication network. Every ship, every base, every slave world, I can reach them all." Kim Wan had prepared for this moment for weeks. He had videos of human victories, recordings of alien defeats, and most importantly, proof that the mighty Kethvar Empire was losing a war to a single planet. "Uploading now," he said. "In 30 seconds, every slave in the galaxy will know that. Their masters can be defeated. The virus he released was not just a computer program, it was an idea. The idea that freedom was possible, that oppression could be resisted, that even the most powerful empire could fall if its victims refused to stay victims." At the hidden medical facility, Lee So loaded her biological weapons into delivery systems that would spread them across the continent. She had spent months developing agents that would make the aliens sick without killing them, weapons that would turn their own technology against them. "Deploy the aerosol agents," she ordered her medical teams. "Make sure every alien on Earth breathes our little gift. Their suits will protect them for a while, but not forever." The agents Lee So had created were specifically designed to attack alien biology. They would make the creatures so sick that their advanced suits could not compensate. More importantly, they would spread fear through the alien ranks, as soldiers watched their powerful technology fail to protect them from simple human germs. As the great battle began, Yoon Ho coordinated every aspect of the assault from his command center. At 70 years old, he had become the strategist of humanity's greatest military operation. But he knew this battle was about more than military victory. It was about sending a message to the universe. "All units, remember your objectives," he broadcast to fighters around the world. "We're not just destroying alien equipment today. We're destroying the myth of alien invincibility. Fight well. And every enslaved being in the galaxy will know that freedom is possible." The battle for the alien base began at dawn. Day led the charge across the open ground, his fighters moving in coordinated waves that confused the alien defenders. The Kethvar had powerful weapons, but they could not hit enemies that moved like water, flowing around obstacles and appearing where they were least expected. Human fighters swarmed over the alien defenses like angry insects. They used small explosives to disable alien war machines, captured alien weapons to turn against their former owners, and most importantly, they refused to retreat even when the odds seemed hopeless. "We're inside the outer perimeter," Day reported as his team broke through the alien defensive line. "The aliens are falling back to their inner base. They're afraid." Above the planet, Park Yoon's space battle was going even better than expected. The alien ships were powerful but slow, designed for attacking defenseless planets rather than fighting agile opponents. Human ships darted between the massive alien vessels like mosquitoes attacking elephants. "Target their communication arrays," Park Yoon ordered. "If we can blind them, they can't coordinate their defense." Human weapons based on alien technology but modified with human engineering tore through alien defenses that had never been tested against enemies who understood how they worked. Ship after ship in the alien fleet went dark as their systems failed. But the most devastating attack was not physical. It was Kim Wan's information warfare. As the battle raged, every slave world in the HFY Empire received detailed broadcasts of human victories. For the first time in centuries, the Empire's subjects saw their masters not as gods, but as fallible beings who could be defeated. "It's working," Kim Wan reported excitedly. "I'm getting responses from the slave worlds. They're asking for more information about how to fight back. The revolution is spreading." Reports flooded in from across the galaxy. On Kepler 442b, slaves were refusing to work in the mines. On Wolf 359c, an entire colony had gone into hiding. On dozens of worlds, the Empire's subjects were remembering that they outnumbered their guards by thousands to one. Lee So's biological weapons completed the destruction of alien morale. As her agents spread through the air, alien soldiers began falling sick. Their suits, which had made them feel invincible, failed to protect them from simple Earth bacteria that had been modified to attack their specific biology. "The aliens are retreating from the surface," reported one of Lee So's medical teams. "They're trying to get back to their ships, but they're too sick to fight effectively." The great alien base, which had seemed impregnable that morning, fell before sunset. Day stood in the alien command center, surrounded by captured technology and defeated enemies. But more important than the military victory was what it represented. "This is Kang Day," he broadcast to the world and to the galaxy beyond. "The main alien base on Earth has fallen, their invasion fleet is retreating, and their empire is crumbling as their slaves learn that freedom is possible." Admiral Veltar watched his invasion collapse from the bridge of his flagship. Half his fleet was destroyed or damaged. His ground forces were in full retreat. Worst of all, rebellions were breaking out on slave worlds across the galaxy. "Sir, we're receiving surrender requests from our garrison commanders on 17 worlds," his communications officer reported. "The local populations have risen in revolt. Our forces are outnumbered and cut off. What are our options?" Veltar asked, though he already knew the answer. "We can try to maintain control of our core worlds, sir. But the outer colonies are lost. The humans have shown the galaxy that we can be defeated. For the first time in 1,000 years, the HFY Empire was facing total collapse. And it had all started when they tried to enslave a single planet whose inhabitants refused to give up. The humans had not just won a battle, they had started a galactic revolution. The age of the HFY Empire was ending, and the age of human-led liberation was about to begin. But first, the aliens had to be driven completely from Earth, and the humans were just getting started. The tables had turned completely. The HFY Empire, which had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years, was collapsing faster than anyone had thought possible. And on Earth, the aliens who had come as conquerors were now the ones being hunted. Day stood in what used to be the alien command center, now converted into a human military headquarters. Maps covered the walls showing alien positions around the world, but there were fewer red marks each day. The mighty invasion force was being picked apart piece by piece. Intelligence reports show alien forces have abandoned 3 more positions. "Overnight," Yoon Ho announced to the assembled commanders. "They're pulling back to defensive positions around their remaining ships. They know they can't win on the ground anymore." The old general looked different now. The stress of coordinating a global war had aged him, but victory had made him stronger. At 70, he was commanding the most successful military campaign in human history. Our objective has changed, Yun-ho continued. We're no longer fighting. To defend Earth, we're hunting down every alien on our planet and preparing to take the war to them. Park Yoon floated in the command center of her flagship, watching alien ships try to escape from Earth's orbit. Human spacecraft, once crude copies of alien technology, had evolved into something better. They were faster, more agile, and crewed by people who had learned to fight in ways the aliens never expected. Human Fleet Alpha, you have 3 alien. Transports trying to reach the jump point, she announced over the radio. Do not let them escape. Every alien who leaves Earth will warn the Empire about our capabilities. The hunt in space was just as relentless as the one on the ground. Human ships pursued fleeing aliens like predators chasing prey. The aliens' superior technology meant nothing when they were too afraid to stop and fight. Alien transport destroyed, came the report from one of Park Yoon's pilots. No survivors, but we've recovered their navigation data. We now know the location of 14 more HFY colonies. Kim Won had become the most important weapon in humanity's arsenal. His computer viruses had not just spread rebellion to the slave worlds. They had given humans access to the Empire's entire database of military information. I have complete intelligence on all HFY military positions, he announced proudly to his team of hackers. Fleet locations, garrison strengths, supply routes, command structures, everything. The Empire has no secrets from us anymore. But Kim Won's greatest achievement was the communication network he had established with rebel forces across the galaxy. Humans were no longer fighting alone. They were leading a revolution that spanned hundreds of worlds. The slaves on Proxima Centauri have captured their orbital defense platforms, he reported. The Rigel colonies have declared independence, and the mining worlds in the Vega system have gone completely dark. The Empire has lost all contact with them. Every day brought news of new victories. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were rising up, inspired by humanity's example and aided by intelligence and weapons that humans smuggled to them through captured alien ships. Lee So had moved from developing defensive biological weapons to creating tools of liberation. Her medical teams were now working on treatments for the health problems that plagued many slave species after centuries of poor treatment. We're not just winning a war, she explained to her expanded medical corps. We're preparing to heal an entire galaxy. Every species the Empire enslaved will need medical attention once they're free. But Lee So had also become Earth's expert on alien psychology. She had interviewed hundreds of captured HFY soldiers and learned something important about their empire. They're not evil, she said, surprising many of her colleagues. They're just bureaucratic. The Empire enslaves worlds because that's what it's always done. They never questioned whether it was right or wrong. They thought it was natural. This understanding had led to a new strategy. Instead of just fighting HFY forces, humans began trying to convert them. Many alien soldiers, when shown the reality of their empire's collapse, chose to surrender rather than die for a cause they no longer believed in. The most dramatic example of the changed war happened in the mountains near Day's home village. A HFY garrison had been surrounded for weeks, slowly starving as human forces cut off their supplies. When Day approached under a flag of truce, he expected to negotiate their surrender. Instead, the alien commander asked to speak privately with him. "We know we cannot win," the alien said through a translation device. "But we also know that returning to the Empire means execution for failure. What do you humans offer to soldiers who surrender?" Day thought carefully before answering. "We offer what we fight for ourselves: freedom. The choice to make your own decisions about your life." The alien stared at him for a long moment. "You would trust us? After everything we have done to your world?" "Trust is earned," Day replied. "But everyone deserves the chance to earn it." Within a week, the entire garrison had surrendered. More importantly, they began sharing intelligence about HFY military tactics and weaknesses. Some even volunteered to help humans contact other alien units that might be willing to switch sides. The psychological effect on both sides was enormous. Humans realized that not all aliens were their enemies, while Kethvar soldiers began to question everything they had been taught about the Empire and their mission. Admiral Veltar found himself commanding a fleet that was falling apart from within. Discipline had collapsed as news of the Empire's defeats spread among his crews. Worse, some of his ships had simply disappeared, their crews either defecting to the humans or fleeing to hide in remote star systems. "Sir, we've lost contact with the garrison on Continent 4, his communications officer reported. "That's the last of our ground forces. Earth is now completely under human control." Veltar looked at the tactical display showing the positions of his remaining ships. He had started with over 300 vessels. Now he had fewer than 50, and half of those were damaged or undermanned. "What are our orders from the High Command?" he asked. "Sir, the High Command is busy. Rebellions have broken out in 7 core systems. The Emperor has declared martial law, but many fleet commanders are refusing to follow orders." The truth was worse than his officer wanted to admit. The Kethvar Empire was not just losing the war, it was disappearing entirely. Centuries of rule through fear and technology had created a system that collapsed instantly when that fear was broken. On Earth, humans were preparing for the next phase of their war. They had driven the aliens from their planet, but that was just the beginning. Now they would take the fight to the stars themselves. "We have enough captured ships to launch our first interstellar expedition," Park Yoon announced to the Global Council. "We can reach the nearest slave worlds within 6 months. But we're not going as conquerors. We're going as liberators." The humans had learned something that the Kethvar never understood. True strength did not come from technology or fear. It came from the willingness to fight for something you believed in and the wisdom to help others find their own strength. As the last alien ships prepared to flee Earth forever, humans around the world looked up at the stars and made a promise. Every enslaved being in the galaxy would have the chance to choose freedom. The age of galactic tyranny was ending, and the age of liberation had begun. The hunters had become the hunted, and now the hunted were preparing to become liberators. The last Kethvar ship lifted off from Earth on a gray morning, exactly 1 year after the invasion began. Admiral Veltar watched his home planet of humanity shrink behind him through the viewport of his damaged flagship. He had come with a fleet of 300 ships to collect slaves. He was leaving with 12 broken vessels and the knowledge that his empire was finished. But Veltar did not know that his fleeing ships carried more than just defeated soldiers. Hidden in their computer systems, Kimwan's final virus was spreading through the galactic communication network, carrying with it the complete story of humanity's victory and detailed instructions for resistance and rebellion. On Earth, humans gathered in the fields where alien ships had first landed. Where once there had been terror and invasion, now there was celebration and planning. But the humans were not celebrating the end of a war. They were celebrating the beginning of something much bigger. Day stood before a crowd of fighters who had once been simple farmers and workers. They wore armor made from alien materials and carried weapons that combined human and Kethvar technology. They had become something the galaxy had never seen before, liberators with the power to free entire worlds. "1 year ago, these aliens came to make us slaves," Day announced to the cheering crowd. "They thought we would surrender like every other species they had conquered. Instead, we taught them something they had never learned, that some people cannot be broken, only made stronger." The crowd roared its approval, but Day raised his hand for silence. "But our work is not finished. Across the galaxy, billions of beings are still enslaved by what remains of the Kethvar Empire. They are waiting for someone to show them that freedom is possible. We are going to be those someone." Park Yoon's space program had grown beyond anything she had imagined possible. The small rocket company that had once struggled to launch satellites was now building interstellar ships capable of carrying entire armies to distant worlds. But more importantly, they were building ships designed not for conquest, but for liberation. "Our first fleet launches next month," she announced to the International Space Council. 50 ships carrying 10,000 volunteers, along with medical, supplies, communication equipment, and everything needed to help enslaved worlds fight for their freedom. The ships Park Yoon had designed were marvels of hybrid technology. They combined human engineering with captured alien systems to create vessels that were faster and more versatile than anything the Kethvar had ever built. But their greatest strength was not technological. It was the determination of their crews. Every human on the liberation ships had volunteered for a mission that might last years and would certainly be dangerous. They were farmers who had learned to fight, engineers who had learned to heal, students who had learned to lead. They carried with them not just weapons, but hope. Kim Won had become the voice of revolution across the galaxy. His communication network now reached every inhabited world, carrying messages of freedom and resistance to species that had forgotten such concepts were possible. "The rebellion is spreading faster than we can track," he reported to the Global Resistance Council. 14 systems have declared complete independence from the Empire. 27 more have governments in exile. And on 63 worlds, active resistance movements are fighting Kethvar garrisons. But Kim Won's greatest achievement was creating a new kind of galactic internet, one that connected free beings across the stars and could not be controlled by any government or empire. For the first time in galactic history, ordinary people could communicate directly with each other without interference from their rulers. "Information wants to be free," Kim Won explained to his team of young programmers. "And free information makes free people. The Empire controlled the galaxy by keeping everyone isolated and ignorant. We're making sure that never happens again." Lee. So had established the Galactic Medical Corps, an organization dedicated to healing the damage caused by centuries of slavery and oppression. Her teams were preparing to travel to every liberated world, bringing medicine and knowledge to species that had been denied proper health care for generations. "Every enslaved species has health problems that the Empire ignored," she explained to her growing medical staff. "Malnutrition, genetic damage from poor living conditions, psychological trauma from generations of oppression. Healing these problems is just as important as winning military victories." But Lee So's work went beyond medicine. She had also become Earth's leading expert on alien cultures and psychology. Her research helped humans understand how to work with other species as partners rather than subjects. "The Empire made a mistake," she said. "They treated every species the same way, as if cultural differences didn't matter. We're learning that every species is unique, with their own strengths and their own ways of fighting for freedom." Yoon. Ho, now known throughout the galaxy as the architect of humanity's victory, had established the Terran Liberation Command. From his headquarters on Earth, he coordinated military operations across dozens of star systems, helping rebel movements plan their fights for freedom. "We're not building an empire," he explained to the young officers who came to learn from him. "We're building a network of free worlds that choose to work together. Every species we help liberate gets to decide its own future." The old general had lived to see something he never thought possible, a galaxy where freedom was spreading instead of shrinking. At 71, he was training a new generation of leaders who would carry the fight to every corner of the known universe. But perhaps the most important change was in how humans saw themselves. They had gone from a single isolated world to the leaders of a galactic liberation movement. They had learned that their greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons, but their refusal to accept injustice. The first liberation fleet launched on a bright morning 2 years after. The invasion began. As the ships rose into the sky, people around the world stopped what they were doing to watch. They knew they were witnessing the beginning of a new age. On the bridge of the flagship New Earth, Day looked at the stars ahead and thought about the journey that had brought them to this moment. They had started as simple people living simple lives. The aliens had tried to make them slaves, but instead had awakened something that would reshape the galaxy. Navigation, set course for Proxima Centauri, he ordered. It's time to keep our promise. The promise was simple but revolutionary. Every being in the galaxy would have the chance to choose freedom. It was a promise that would take generations to fulfill, but humans had learned that the most important promises were the hardest ones to keep. As the human ships jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying hope to distant worlds, a new message began spreading through Kim Wan's galactic network. It was translated into hundreds of languages and reached billions of enslaved beings. The Terrans are coming. 3 words that meant the end of an empire and the beginning of freedom. The Kethvar had come to Earth looking for slaves, but they had found something much more dangerous. Teachers who could show the galaxy that no one had to remain a slave forever. The age of galactic slavery was ending. The age of galactic liberation had begun. And it had all started because one small blue planet had refused to surrender. The humans had kept their promise. They came not as conquerors, but as liberators. And wherever they went, freedom followed. In the depths of space, the last Kethvar ships fled toward the galactic rim, carrying with them the knowledge that their 1,000-year empire had been destroyed not by superior technology or overwhelming force, but by a simple idea that proved more powerful than both: the idea that everyone deserves to be free.